Where's the pillow?
There's blankets and pillows and towels and chair. There's yoga mats as well.
Is there? I'm just going to
Yeah.
sprawl out here. You
Yeah.
carry on. I'm going to soak in your wisdom.
Okay. Oh, I don't know if it's going to be wisdom. It's going to be a lot shorter anyway. Okay, well, I guess I better open this old space up, hey? I have a fairy in my background today. Before I say another word more, I'm going to open the space. I'm going to guard your ears, okay? So today is Friday, which is always attributed to Venus. And a lot of people have a graph for Friday. I wonder why. I suppose our working week has domesticated Friday to be the last working day of the working week. But today we have auspicious coordinates in the sky. I'm going to read from the Font of All Wisdom, Yasmin Boland, in her Moonology book, which I'm in love with. Her one for next year is coming out, and I'm going to get it. But first, I want to say aloha to everyone tuning in, including myself. This is the first time I'm trying a podcast video on this YouTube, what is it called? Podcast creator thing. And in the room as well, full disclosure, I have a fairy, and if we're very lucky, we may get some more contributions from my friend. Don't even know if I'm allowed to mention your name, so just like that. Okay. So we might get, if you hear a voice from the ether, then you'll know that we have friends and supporters joining us. So I want to share with you what we got, right? For Friday. It is the 30th of June, 2023. It's a week for healing, apparently. That might mean getting some healing treatment, or it could be a conversation that proves to be healing. Focus on getting better, whatever ails you, and whatever that means to you. And the 26th on Monday was the first quarter moon, and the next day, Tuesday, Mercury moved into Cancer. And today, Neptune is going retrograde until the 6th of December, St. Nicholas's Day this year. But that's not really what I wanted to tell you. I wanted to say something about Venus going into being square with Uranus. In fact, I can't really say much about it. I'm not an astrologer. I just let my ears kind of, I lend my ears to those that study the stars. So yeah, apparently it's not even in this book. It's in her emails that she sends to me. So I'm just going to have to recapitulate. So do research, okay, please. Yeah, apparently it's a crazy week, and it begins with Mars in the start of the week squaring Uranus, and that can bring uncharacteristic conflict or friction with people and situations that you wouldn't be expecting or wouldn't be accustomed to experiencing that with. And ride that out and do what you need to do. I think Yasmin Boland on her podcast, Mainly Moonology, see that plug? She says just meditate it out. Okay. I thought, God, that's a lot of faith showing to people, because sometimes meditation is triggering, and it's like, I don't meditate, or I need to get active. So I translate meditation to mean anything that regulates your nervous system. If that means going out for a walk, great. If that means having a nap, fantastic. If that means retail therapy, well, so be it. Just watch your budget. If that means nattering with somebody that you really get on with, fantastic. And like with the retail therapy, I will just say, just be aware how your energy goes, because when we chat with others, there's many ways of communicating verbally, and sometimes we can, what my Qigong teacher said, you can fritter away all your life forces, basically, and I think what she meant was when you are unconsciously chatting or maybe, on the gossipy vibe, but when you can connect with somebody in a mindful, conscious way, and you can really feel the spaces in between, and it's a real embodied chat. It's not just like head is cut off and just from the head up, right? What do you think, Faerie? Have you had experience of that? Yeah. And we notice that sometimes when we chat with our friends, like sometimes they have something to tell us and they're just bursting, that even the way they breathe, they're like speaking to the last bit of their breath, and then they have to inhale. And I'm not going to tell anybody how to breathe, but I just think, wow, they're excited and they care about something, and I do think it's like clutter clearing, right? We can only be responsible for ourselves. We can't control anybody else, especially our intimate and our closest loved ones, as we all know, right? But we can hold ourselves in full sovereignty, like responsibility for my frequency. So when I am clearing the clutter, she says, as if it's a fairy tale, but then I'm holding that in a conscious way of knowing why I'm doing it, right? So many aspects to it, an outer aspect, but also many inner aspects. For example, intellectually feeling like I can feel proud of my space now that I've cleared it. I've been meaning to clear these things for ages. Emotionally, just feeling like, somehow clearing the physical extra stuff, because I don't have English anymore, is quite representative of emotional superfluous objects, and so forth. And of course, psychically, there's a lot of psychic pollution and psychic clutter in our environment, our inner environment, our outer environment. So that all helps. And anybody who, like me, clutter clearing is a bit of a life mission, always find money when we clutter clear, right? And I think that is so symbolic of the wealth and the abundance that has been buried, If it's not material fiat currency money, then it's another form of abundance, if nothing else but this sense of space in myself. I can breathe a bit easier after that. So I like this YouTube podcast so far. It's giving me how long I've been here, 8 minutes and 8 seconds. All good. The reason that I wanted to do a podcast tonight, I didn't just say, my friend Caroline's coming and I'm going to do a podcast. No, it was because of this configuration in the heavens with the stars. And in particular, I wish I had put up the email. I guess I could just get it up and read it, but no, I'm going to try to bet on my brain. So watch out. I remembered that Yasmin Boland had said it's a very powerful time on this Friday with Venus squaring Uranus. Uranus throws in that kind of wild card energy, that kind of, kind of contrary to spirit kind of madness. So it can bring second chances. It doesn't mean that it's going to magnetically draw you back to your ex if you don't want it. But it can mean that things are aligned in such a way that maybe I'm interpreting it spontaneously as if our hearts are more able to enter that twilight zone where we normally don't go to. And having said that, I have been in contact with my ex. Which ex? Friends of Penelope says. The ex that I've had the longest, what's the word? Significant relationship with. So that's been really lovely. And not just like talking about the weather or whatever, but been requesting to have a voice to voice chat soon. We don't, months have gone by since we have been in contact. And yeah, I don't think about him in that way because we have moved on. 10-minute mark, everyone. But I do reflect from time to time and think, wow, we had a really beautiful connection. We had a fantastic love life, and spiritually it was really beautiful and touching. He's quite a bit younger than me, so it was a bit of a happy surprise how mature and wise he is in many ways. Okay. And so the mystery, I'm just sharing now my own personal story, of being requested today and last night for a voice to voice connection, and he meant Zoom or something like that. I use Telegram quite a lot. If any of y'all know me personally, right? I'm on Telegram like nearly, forever. And so handy. You can do video chats and everything. But I just trying to correspond. We're just on the email. He's not very much into technology. And sorry, I'm not even, I'm even telling lies because my English language just kind of gets banjaxed sometimes when I'm broadcasting to more than just talking to myself. So yeah, just to say, it seems quite relevant for this auspicious time of Venus. For me, it's like a double Venus time, and when there's two, there's three, right? So this holy trinity of love and the heart, and for me, it's always like that. That's the climax of why we are how we are, because whatever it comes down to, so it seems to me, it always comes back to love. It always comes back to the heart. And yeah, it's not for nothing. For me, I have this theme of your first love. A while ago, earlier this year, I think I had a 5-session package in my healing clinic, and it was called it was the 5 faces of love or something like that, beginning with your first love, and I think ending with original love. And yeah, it's so deep. I'm not going to go into it now, but a big part of that is coming all the way around to self-love. Self-love is bandied around, and it can mean anything, but what I mean is that true, coherent, aligned love for oneself. And we go through many phases of whatever that's supposed to mean, like we do in life. We have our first lovers when we're teenagers, and then as young adults, we're like pups in the field exploring. And then some of us might get into a longer term relationship, get a bit more serious with, I would say middle age, but it's not middle age anymore. It's just adulthood, right? And then maybe even have a family, which brings a whole nother level of love into things, right? There's many layers of love there, but as if anybody knows, there's also a lot of intensity. And I think, like anything, where there's light, there's the equal and the equal counterpart for that. So there's the opportunity to immerse in that which we find dark, our shadows, and dare I say it, even expose or illuminate some of those things that we find dark or intimidating or triggering or edgy. We have that opportunity anyway. And then moving on from that family phase of our lives, which is quite intense, whatever comes after that. And if I was saying that it can be varied before then, well, after that is just like exponentially varied, right? As those of us who are in the middle age know. But most of all, I think a lot of us, not all, but I certainly have come around to recognizing that, what, self-love is a major, major piece. And I really love that journey and feel like, okay, that's going to be one of the themes of my life, even though I know it in my head, and I may promote it cognitively, emotionally, bodily. It's like, do I really live that? Can I really consistently hold that frequency of full accountability to myself, each and every time? No, of course not, because I'm human. What is each and every time, right? And like that tonight, that's why I wanted to have this podcast, because what's the most wonderful thing we could do, right? 2111, by the way, if anybody's watching the numbers, 3 ones in a row. Here in Ireland, anyway. Well, for me, I feel really grateful in this period that I'm exploring myself, trying to find a different way from saying partnerless or single. And just as if I say, I want to be called a woman of color, anybody else will call me anything else, Oh, you're a Pacific Islander. Oh, you're Asian. Oh, so it's like, I call myself single. I call myself partnerless. I call myself sovereign or free. But what is the truth for me is different for you. And for me, it's, I'm really exploring, getting to know me, you know, buying myself flowers, and even for the garden, got myself my first roses earlier this week. So really excited. And then I cut them for my son, full disclosure, but he brought them back in here for me because he's that kind of guy. And just feeling like one day I came into my room and I thought, wow, that's really beautiful. And isn't it great? Somehow indirectly, because my son rejected them, I I've made a gift of surrounding myself with beauty and things that uplift my heart. This segues into a discussion that I've been having with a group of women in a sacred economy movement that I'm involved with. And we've been uplifting ourselves with joy. And somebody who is in reception of a lot of abundance, she was asking, how can I access an unconditional abundance? Because just because she is in a position of privilege, we all put her in the center of our movement and uplift her every day, right? She nonetheless asks, how can one live in integrity, without feeling like I need to produce or be of value to warrant an income? And what I thought the question was, perhaps there was more to it. And at the moment, she felt moved to invite us to stop checking in and stop meditating and actually what really lifts your heart. And she's asking me to hold more spaces for dancing and voice work and just really juicy joy. And I thought, that is really wise, because how do you arrive at abundance in every way kind of reflects on your life and how you live it inside and out, right? We can all claw and grab and climb and all this to realize a material wealth and a material abundance, but to contemplate these deeper questions of, am I worthy of an unconditional income? Most of us will have a plethora of responses and replies coming back at us. That's without voicing it out loud at all. And so I'm really enjoying this stepping stones of joy, because when I am recognizing joy, then my body is focused and dedicated right now to joy, right? Like the time that I got a text message from my friend, and it was a surprise visit. And I thought, okay. And it was asking, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And that brought me joy. That raised my frequency, if you can go there with me. And if I think of the next happy thing, the flowers that ended up being in my room, even though I originally had it in mind to gift them to somebody else. So that's another little piece of joy. And all along, these stepping stones of joy, they lead me to greater joy, right? So like somebody that used to come to the temple and hadn't been seen for a few months, now like is asking to maybe visit again. And that brings me joy. It's like, wow, what is the story? How has their story unfolded since we last met? and little joys lead to greater joys, and joys in the emotion and in the psyche they necessarily have to reflect in the physical material way. And when our frequency, our emotions, our thoughts are aligned with that joy, then you can't but help like attracting, magnetizing that similar frequency. um so I don't know if this is going over your head, or if you are feeling a bit like, oh, easy for you to say, or a bit triggered, or hairy fairy talk. Let me know if you want to give out in this chat here. And otherwise, I'm just sharing my thoughts around the subject of love. That was my original intent, to spend some time with myself and anybody else who is in alignment with opening the heart and having a little explore, maybe a little dialogue. I guess it's going to be more of an invisible dialogue, but we are helped by the dreamscape. And yeah, just looking on this Venus day, for the most part, I find myself so full of life and trying to keep things together and make things happen that, to be honest, I am guilty of not really giving priority to my romantic side of life. And I guess I have my young teenagers keeping me busy, and I have so much love for them that I feel nearly I'd be wary of letting or exposing anybody else to my private inner life, whatever that means. But it is a real juicy question and theme, and one that I have been sitting in company with others and listening to their stories of going on dating sites and making dates and looking to attract that partner. I didn't hear the word soulmate from the person I'm thinking of, but you know what? The last couple of weeks, even I have been wondering, hey, you know what? That's a good idea. Maybe it's time that I could be open for um, connecting with somebody in that intimate way. And from where I am, it's a real joy to feel that, because it's something different for me. It's not my usual way of thinking. And it's like, oh, you serious? You're what are you inviting in? It's like, well, I don't have any real attachment to what it would look like, but just the idea of an innocent and pure love, just what's the word? Being realized, being conceived, is quite a fun idea. And also it lets me know that everything else that I'm doing, there's also a piece of me that would welcome love in this form, where it's a true connection and a true friendship with other connections in a meaningful way, in that way. For whatever reason, over the past few years, since the separation with my last long-term partner, there have been beautiful souls coming into my orbit. Yeah, I guess I can only speak about myself, right? Never mind about these other women that I was sharing about. But yeah, and maybe getting close, maybe not. More of the time, not, because for whatever there were other circumstances, like for instance, I don't know, I'm a sort of straight edge kind of girl, kind of like get high on dancing and music and life and nature, and the buzz of altered states of consciousness without any external substances. But connecting with a lot of people, that other people that are into 420 or ayahuasca or whatever, breath work. No, just kidding. But and just feeling like, yeah, look at me putting up a barrier or a wall, or not, and just really enjoying just sitting back and like looking at myself like, okay, I am taking it in, and I wonder what I mean to this person. Like they say they want to be close to me. Do they just mean in a neurotic way, or in a sexual way, or in a romantic way, or in an intellectual way? A lot of people are attracted to me because of my mind. I know that's hard to believe, but that's my deduction as of now. Well, actually, for quite a while, I realized, yeah, I know, right? But life is interesting like that. And it's more fuel for inspiration when I think about the self-love again. It's beautiful, like getting to turn it around in my consciousness and feel like, self-love, it's so juicy. There's so much in it. And like any relationship, it's endless. I'm never gonna decipher it all and come to the edge or the boundary of it. It's endless. So I can just be content knowing that that's grand. And that's a lifelong marriage, a joyous one. And there's room for three. So if there is going to be another physical human partner, grand. And if not, grand. I guess I feel I'm feeling a bit wary about what I say out loud and what I don't. You know what they say, right? What you voice you might attract. But yeah, I feel happy and actually, to be honest, a little bit privileged to be able to say that. Perhaps it's just because I've raised a bunch of kids, and I'm quite happy to be on my own, and I'm aware of all the things I want to do. And when you're on your own, that's it. You're responsible for your own self, right? And perhaps when we've had the privilege of being in a longer term relationship with somebody else, maybe that holds me back, because I know, well, that's a big investment of my heart, most of all, right? Into another life form, an intimate communion with someone else. It's quite a potent life form. So anyway, we could all go off on that, and I just wanted to touch on that tonight then. What is your story? What do your chapters look like? What's your theme? Does self-love play a part in it? Or what's your relationship with self-love? Or maybe you have a different word for it. And are you looking for a soulmate now? Are you open for a friend to connect in a new, authentic, meaningful, deep way? Have you got it in mind what that might look like? Or are you not sure? Or every time you meet somebody new, are you always kind of like open to whatever it brings? Are you able to have a bit of space and a bit of out breath when you're in that position, when you're in that situation where you meet somebody and there is, well, most likely some sexual polarity, right? So they get your attention because there's some chemistry there. How are you feeling about that? Are you feeling just like, let's get close? And is it a feeling of, I need to purge myself of this heart beating, this passion that's burning between my legs, and I want to share it with somebody as well, you know? It's a delicious dance between self-centeredness and wanting to share with the world. I think when we're in that moment of kind of like pre-climatic, it's just it's that birthing impulse, conception, isn't it? Of wanting to share with the whole world my overflowing joy, love, inspiration. And the other side can be, we always say that, but then we contract quite quickly afterwards, and we contract back into fear, self-consciousness, and all the other things, right? There's a whole litany of things that we judge ourselves by. What is our gauge for success? Have I really connected with somebody? Did we really communicate our boundaries? And sure, is it okay that we just let it flow like this? Or actually, did I say last time never again? And now I've forgotten myself, because that energy and that chemistry is very strong. And there's a reason why it is intense and strong. And for some of us, that's a huge attraction for being a bit of a geek and delving into it in a scholarly way and studying things like Tantra and sexology and all sorts of other somatic kind of roads that lead us into connecting our heart with our mind and our body and our emotions. There's a lot. And isn't that great? When we meet somebody, they make us forget all about that and we can just be in the now. So I want to have a little drink to your health, and I hope that you are staying hydrated while you're listening to all this. I'm wondering if my fairy guest has anything that they'd like to contribute today. You're very welcome to drop a word or a line or any thoughts if you feel inspired. I'm going to take it that they've dropped something in a non-verbal way. Okay, so it has been nearly time to finish it up, because it's nearly going to be 33 minutes, and I quite like the idea of it being 33 minutes from start to end. I'd love to hear what you think. What is on your mind, because I'm a bit of a weirdo. My thoughts are maybe a bit off center, and if they're not, if they're just normal, boring thoughts, then maybe the way I express it could be better. But it's corny, but it's kind of true. Like, I do feel like we are all in this together. Nobody's better or worse than anybody else. But like a little community, like the community of the microbiome in our body, here we are on the planet. And we're lucky if we have a community where we can share and exchange our thoughts and our emotions and feel relatively safe and happy to be in another's company. We all have varying degrees of feeling safe in the company of other humans. And yeah, so all I can say is thanks for spending this time with me. At the end of this, it's going to have been 33 minutes. I'm going to ring my bell, which is a space clearing bell. I'm going to ring it 3 times and let the tones go into your cells and purify what wants to be purified. Slánanish. Agus gaji. An uair Jeranach, an uair an céad uair ella, gaji to Slán.